I need to be clear from the beginning. The wolf didn't chase us. It didn't growl, it didn't show its teeth. And that is exactly why this still follows me into my dreams. Predators usually make sense. Fear makes sense when something runs at you, when branches snap, when your body reacts before your mind does. But what happened to us in that forest had nothing to do with instinctive fear. It was slower than that. Colder. Calculated in a way that didn't belong to nature as we understand it. At first, we didn't even call it a wolf. We only noticed the silence. Forests are never truly quiet. Even at night, even in deep wilderness, there is always movement. Leaves settling, insects humming, distant animals communicating in frequencies we barely notice. But that night, the sound didn't fade naturally. It stopped, as if someone had pressed a mute button on the entire environment. We were walking in a loose line, headlamps low, trying not to drain our batteries. No one spoke, not because we were afraid, because something unspoken had already settled between us. That feeling you get when your body realizes something your mind hasn't caught up to yet. Then someone whispered, "Do you hear that?" No one answered because there was nothing to hear. That was the first mistake. We assumed silence meant safety. When we finally noticed movement, it wasn't sudden. No charging shape between the trees. No glowing eyes staring us down. Just a shift in the darkness to our left, subtle enough that half of us thought it was imagination. A shape standing where seconds earlier there had been nothing. It was tall. Too tall to be a normal wolf, but still wrong to call it anything else. Its outline matched the idea of a wolf the way a shadow matches the object that casts it. Close but distorted. The legs were long, unnaturally long, and the way it stood wasn't aggressive. Its posture wasn't defensive either, it was neutral. That neutrality was unsettling. Someone raised a camera. Another adjusted the audio recorder almost instinctively, as if documentation could somehow protect us. The red light blinked softly in the dark. The wolf didn't react. No flinch, no curiosity, no threat display. It simply turned its head slightly and watched. That's when we realized something worse than being hunted. We were being observed. We moved. Slowly at first, a few steps back. The creature mirrored us, not following directly, not closing distance. It repositioned, always at the edge of visibility, always where we could see it if we looked and lose it the moment we tried to focus. Minutes passed, then longer. Time became unreliable. No attack came, no warning either. And that broke every rule we thought we understood. Predators don't waste energy. They don't escort. They don't maintain distance unless they're unsure or unless they're waiting for something. But what could make an apex predator hesitate in its own territory? The answer didn't come that night. It came later, in fragments, in recordings, in the gaps where sound should have existed but didn't. Because this wasn't about hunger, it wasn't about defense, and it wasn't about fear, at least not ours. The wolf was testing us, learning how we moved, how we reacted, how we spoke when we thought we were alone. And the most disturbing part? The moment we realized it never once looked at all of us at the same time. It focused on one person, then another, then me. As if cataloging, as if deciding. What happened after that is the reason some of us never came back the same and some never came back at all. This story isn't about a monster jumping out of the dark. It's about something far worse, a presence that didn't need to attack to take control. If you want to understand why the wolf didn't bite, why it didn't run, why it simply followed, then stay with me. And if stories like this matter to you, if you want to hear what the recordings revealed and what we learned too late, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Some stories don't end when the footage cuts, and this one is only just beginning. By the time we accepted that the wolf wasn't leaving, it had already been with us for over an hour. Not behind us, not in front of us, around us. That was the first thing that broke our sense of control. No matter how we shifted direction, no matter how carefully we adjusted our pace, the presence stayed consistent. If we stopped, it stopped. If we moved faster, it didn't chase, it repositioned, always maintaining distance, always visible just long enough to be noticed. We checked our equipment again. Cameras were running, audio recorders were active. GPS units still showed movement, but the data was unstable. Coordinates drifted slightly every few minutes, snapping back as if corrected by an invisible hand. At first, we blamed interference, dense forest, magnetic anomalies. Aokigahara is known for that, but known explanations only work until they don't. One of the team, a wildlife researcher with over 15 years of field experience, whispered something that stuck with me. This isn't territorial behavior. Territorial animals warn first. They bluff, they posture, they push you away from a boundary. This thing did none of that. It allowed us deeper, as if depth itself was the point. We decided to keep moving. Stopping felt worse than walking. Movement gave us the illusion of progress, of choice. Our lights cut narrow tunnels through the forest, illuminating roots, moss, volcanic rock. The ground absorbed sound unnaturally well. Footsteps felt muted, like walking on damp fabric instead of earth. And still, no forest noise. That's when the recordings began to change. At first, it was subtle. The audio engineer tapped his headset twice and frowned. He adjusted gain, then checked a second recorder. Both were capturing low-frequency activity, barely audible but clearly present. Not wind, not movement, something rhythmic. Too slow to be footsteps, too irregular to be mechanical. It almost matched breathing. When he played it back quietly, none of us spoke. Not because we were afraid to make noise, because we didn't want to interrupt it. The sound felt intentional, as if it reacted to attention. When we leaned in, the frequency shifted slightly. When we pulled away, it flattened. The wolf moved closer. Not dramatically, not threateningly. Just enough that we could now see more detail. Patchy fur along its flank. Skin visible beneath, gray and tight, like it had been stretched over a frame that didn't quite fit. Its ribcage expanded slowly, calmly, too calmly. Its eyes reflected no light. That alone was wrong. Most nocturnal animals have eyes that shine back under illumination. This one didn't. Our headlamps seemed to disappear into them, swallowed rather than reflected. It wasn't blind. It was focused, studying. Someone muttered, "Don't run." No one had planned to. Running would have meant panic, and panic felt like exactly what it was waiting for. We altered course slightly, angling toward what should have been a known trail. According to the map, we were less than a kilometer from a clear marker. The GPS agreed, at least visually. But the deeper we went, the more the forest changed. Trees grew closer together. Spacing that should have been random began to feel deliberate. Paths we were certain we'd just passed were gone when we turned back. The terrain subtly rearranged itself without ever being obvious enough to point to. And the wolf, It never touched the ground loudly. No snapping branches, no crunching leaves, no sign of weight. Yet its mass was undeniable. When it stopped, the air around it felt denser, heavier, like pressure before a storm. Standing near it made your ears feel full, like descending too quickly in altitude. One of the cameras failed, not abruptly, gradually. The image softened, distorted, then froze entirely. The battery was full. The lens was clear. There was no physical damage. It simply stopped responding. The wolf tilted its head, not at the camera, at us. That's when the fear finally surfaced. Not explosive, not paralyzing, but cold and precise. The kind of fear that sharpens thought instead of erasing it. The kind that tells you something is fundamentally wrong. We realized then that it wasn't reacting to our movement. It was reacting to our attention. When we spoke quietly, it shifted. When we fell silent, it stayed still. When someone's breathing quickened, the low-frequency sound deepened. It was synchronizing, matching internal states, not external actions. One of the team members suggested we split up, half seriously, half in desperation. The idea was dismissed immediately. Separation felt dangerous in a way we couldn't logically justify but instinctively understood. Whatever this thing was, it benefited from isolation. And then it did something we hadn't expected. It turned away, not retreating, not fleeing, just looking elsewhere. Its head angled slightly past us, deeper into the forest, as if acknowledging something we couldn't see. For a brief moment, the pressure lifted. The silence cracked. A distant sound echoed, soft, human, and unmistakably wrong. Someone breathing. But not from our group. We froze. No one spoke. The wolf remained still, ears forward, posture unchanged. It didn't look surprised. It didn't look alert. It looked patient. That was the moment we understood that we were no longer the only ones being watched. And whatever else was out there, it had already been here longer than us. The breathing didn't come closer. That was the worst part. If it had approached, if branches had snapped or footsteps had rushed toward us, we could have reacted. Fear thrives on movement, but this sound stayed exactly where it was, suspended somewhere between distance and direction. Close enough to be heard, too far to locate. The wolf never looked at us again. Its attention remained fixed on that unseen point in the forest, as if the sound belonged to something it already understood. Not prey, not a threat, a variable. Our audio engineer slowly raised a hand, signaling us to stay silent. He adjusted the recorder, isolating the channel. The waveform spiked instantly. The breathing was real. It had depth, volume, structure. But it wasn't human breathing. Not fully. Human lungs don't pause like that. They don't hesitate mid-inhale, then release air in uneven pulses. This breathing had learning in it. Like something practicing a function rather than performing it naturally. And then it changed. It began to sync with us. When one of us inhaled sharply, it echoed a fraction of a second later. When another exhaled slowly, the rhythm followed, almost mockingly accurate, but slightly off. Close enough to be recognizable, wrong enough to be disturbing. The wolf shifted its weight. This time we heard it, not a sound, but a sensation. A vibration through the ground, through the soles of our boots, through our bones. The low-frequency hum intensified, pressing against the back of my skull. It felt like standing next to massive machinery, except there was nothing mechanical about it. One of the biologists whispered, barely audible, "It's not hunting us. No one asked what it was doing instead. The forest around us began to feel smaller, not physically, but perceptually. Depth collapsed. Distances became unreliable. Trees that should have been far away felt within arm's reach. Our lights no longer cut cleanly through the darkness. Beams bent slightly, diffused as if the air itself had thickened. That's when the second camera failed. Same pattern. Soft distortion, frozen frame, dead silence. The wolf's ears twitched. It wasn't reacting to the camera shutting down. It was reacting to something else responding. The breathing stopped. For 3 full seconds, there was nothing. No vibration, no low-frequency hum, no sense of pressure. Then speech, not words, tone. A rise and fall that mimicked language without forming it. The cadence of communication stripped of meaning. It sounded like someone trying to remember how talking worked. Every instinct in my body screamed to turn off the recorders. We didn't, because a deeper instinct told us this was the point of no return, that whatever was happening now would happen whether or not we documented it. The only difference would be whether we had proof afterward. The wolf finally moved again. It took 3 steps forward, slow, deliberate, silent, and stopped between us and the direction of the sound. Not blocking, not guarding, positioning as if drawing a line. And that's when we noticed something horrifyingly subtle. The breathing wasn't coming from one place anymore. It was everywhere, not echoing, not surrounding, embedded. The forest itself seemed to exhale. The ground released air through invisible seams. Tree trunks vibrated faintly like hollow structures resonating with internal pressure. The sound didn't travel, it existed. The low-frequency hum surged and several of us staggered. One team member dropped to a knee, clutching his head, teeth clenched hard enough that I heard them grind. Blood trickled from his nose. The wolf didn't react. It had seen this before. That realization hit harder than the fear. This wasn't a unique encounter, this was a process. The wildlife researcher slowly lowered his light. The wolf immediately shifted its head toward him, not aggressively, attentively. He froze. Then, against all better judgment, he spoke. "I know what you are," he said, voice shaking but steady enough to be understood. The sound changed instantly. The breathing fractured. The tonal pattern broke into overlapping layers. Some high, some impossibly low. The forest vibrated violently for half a second, then stabilized. The wolf took 1 step back, not in retreat, in acknowledgement. Whatever was happening, language mattered, speech mattered, attention mattered. And then the forest did something that none of us could explain away. The path behind us disappeared, not gradually, instantly. Where there had been open ground, there were now tightly packed trees, roots interwoven like a barrier grown in seconds. The GPS units went dead simultaneously. Not signal loss, shutdown, black screens. We were no longer moving through the forest. We were inside it. The unseen presence spoke again. This time, the tone was closer, too close. It carried fragments, pieces of sounds we recognized. A cough from one of our team members earlier that day, a muttered curse, the click of a lighter, our sounds, replayed, reassembled. The wolf turned its head slightly, just enough that one eye caught the edge of my light. For the first time, I saw something inside it. Not reflection. Depth, like looking down a tunnel that didn't end. And I understood then why it hadn't attacked. Predators kill. This thing was collecting, learning patterns, mapping reactions. The wolf was not the threat, it was the interface. The breathing returned, slow, steady, confident now, as if whatever was out there had learned enough and was ready to move on to the next stage. The forest didn't move. It reconfigured. That was the only way I could describe it later after my hands stopped shaking enough to write. Trees didn't fall or grow in front of us. There was no dramatic shift, no cinematic chaos. Instead, reality itself seemed to quietly rearrange its rules. Distances stretched, angles softened. The concept of behind us lost meaning. We tried to walk. After 6 steps, the ground dipped, not downward but inward, like stepping onto a surface that expected weight. My boots sank slightly, not into soil but into resistance. I pulled back instinctively, heart racing. The ground released me. The wolf watched this without expression. The audio engineer whispered, "It's reacting to intent." He was right. When we stood still, nothing happened. No sound, no pressure. The forest felt neutral, almost dormant. But the moment someone shifted with purpose, the low-frequency vibration returned, not as a warning, as feedback. We were inside something responsive. One of the biologists began to cry softly. No panic, no hysteria, just quiet realization. He kept repeating, "This isn't an ecosystem." Over and over, like the phrase itself was an anchor. The unseen presence answered, not audibly, emotionally. A pressure rolled through us, not fear, not pain, but recognition. Like being noticed by something that had already finished categorizing you. The sound recorders flared to life, every channel spiking at once. And then we heard it clearly. Footsteps, not the wolves. These were wrong. They had weight but no rhythm. Each step landed with a delay, as if gravity reached them late. Sometimes the sound came before the motion, sometimes after. The direction shifted constantly, like the source was moving through dimensions rather than space. The wolf lowered itself, not into an attack stance, into submission. That shattered something inside me. Predators do not submit unless they recognize a hierarchy they cannot challenge. Whatever this was, it was not above us, it was above everything. The footsteps stopped. Silence returned, but it wasn't empty anymore. It was dense, layered, intentional. The forest felt like a closed mouth holding breath. Then the imitation began. At first it was subtle, a cough, exactly like mine. Same dry rasp, same length, played back from somewhere behind the trees. I turned instinctively. Nothing. Then another voice, one of the researchers saying a phrase he'd used earlier that day, word for word, tone perfect. The biologist who had been crying screamed for it to stop. That was a mistake. The forest reacted violently. The pressure surged, slamming into our chests. Several of us fell, my vision blurred. The sound recorders emitted a high-pitched whine, struggling to process what they were capturing. The footsteps returned, closer now. The wolf backed away from us, slowly, deliberately, creating distance, not for its safety, for ours. And that's when we saw it, not fully, never fully, a distortion among the trees, like a shape made of absence. It bent light unnaturally, warping the outlines of branches behind it. The closer it moved, the less defined it became. Too large for detail, too complex for focus. But the sound was unmistakable now. It was breathing, deep, controlled, intentional, not survival breathing, decision breathing. One of the cameras, somehow still functioning, caught a fragment of it. Later analysis showed the image contained impossible geometry, angles that shouldn't coexist. The frame looked corrupted, but it wasn't a digital error. The data was intact, Reality was not. The wolf suddenly lifted its head and let out a sound I will never forget. It wasn't a howl, it wasn't a warning, it was a signal, low, resonant, vibrating the ground beneath us. The unseen presence stopped instantly. The footsteps froze mid-motion. The pressure eased. For a moment, just one, we were allowed to exist again. The wolf turned its head toward us, and for the first time, it looked directly at me. Its eyes were not animal, they were adaptive, reflective but not of light, of behavior. I understood without words that it had once been what it was supposed to be. A predator, a creature of instinct. Then it encountered this and survived by changing. The wolf was not mutated, it was revised. The presence responded. The forest began to speak, not in sound but in structure. Trees leaned inward, roots surfaced. The ground subtly sloped, guiding us toward a narrow corridor forming ahead. Not trapping us, directing us. The wolf moved first, slowly, cautiously, never turning its back on the distortion. It paused at the edge of the corridor and looked at us again. This time the message was clear. Follow or stay. No one argued. As we moved, the sound recorders captured something new, a pattern, a repeating frequency beneath everything else, a rhythm that matched neither human nor animal physiology. It matched systems, processes, cycles. The biologist whispered, "It's not alive the way we are." The engineer responded, voice hollow, "Neither is a machine until it learns." The corridor opened into a clearing we had never seen on any map. In the center, disturbed ground, not dug, reshaped. Equipment lay scattered, old equipment, rusted, cameras from expeditions decades apart. Clothing fragments, journals fused together by moisture and time. No bodies, never bodies. The wolf stopped at the edge. It would not enter. The presence lingered behind us, waiting. And in that moment, I understood the final truth. This place didn't kill. It integrated. It absorbed patterns, behaviors, sounds, fear, language. And the wolf was proof that something could remain itself long enough to walk away. We were not prey. We were candidates.